Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful Monday night of Chewin the BBQ Fat. What an incredible weekend I had in barbecue. I hope you had a good week in barbecue also. Barbecue, baseball, birthday parties, you name it, we did it this weekend. It's been a busy weekend, but we had a great weekend. Micah's birthday is tomorrow. He is going to be turning 8 years old. Exciting stuff. What's up, Randy? Hope you're doing well. If you will, like the page, share the page, whatever you want to do. Let's get the word out that we're having a talk tonight. It's going to be a great night. I got Texas on tonight, and we got three of the best. We had another one coming on. We'll talk about it. He wasn't able to come on tonight, but it's going to be a good conversation. But I want to tell you, we had the most incredible – what's up, Frank Nagle? How you doing, baby? Yes, dear. We had the most incredible contest this weekend, and I had to leave Saturday morning from 9:30 till brisket turned in. I had to go to a funeral, and I missed the cooking part of it. But I'm telling you, what an incredible weekend at barbecue! It was probably one of the most fun contests I've ever had. I really enjoyed barbecue, and I didn't even get to hardly cook. So that's kind of something I'm going to talk with Lee. Well, we'll spoil a little bit. Got Lee Hickle on tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about our Thursday night. But man, I got to go have dinner twice, Thursday night, Friday night. We had two different birthday parties to celebrate, and then we celebrated Micah's. But man, barbecue is so awesome. Barbecue people are awesome. The family that we've developed has just been amazing. I talked to Josh Roberts today. As many of you know, we are selling shirts for Josh. And we're almost sold out. Thank you so much. We still have some left. So get the shirts on the website or email Ellen or whatever. And Ellen wanted me to let you know that she will be called up by Wednesday. We go back to school on Wednesday. She won't have any kids at the house. She won't have to worry about anything. So by Wednesday, we will be back full strength, ready to sell or ready to ship and get back onto our normal shipping schedule. Donnie, 107 degrees in California. That is hot. I tell you what, I felt like it was close to that this weekend here in Georgia, but it wasn't. So, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guests. We got Lee, Phil, and Kit here tonight. Everybody's from Texas. Like I say, share the page, like the page, and let's get this thing rolling tonight. So I'm going to start by bringing on Lee. Hey, Lee, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, Brian. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. I'm going to bring on Phil. Hey, Phil. You're muted. There he is.
Hey, Brian. Can you hear me okay?
I got you, buddy. Phil is in Colorado right now eating Mexican food at the
Hey, it's the only place in an hour that has service. And luckily they have drinks too, so they just got here.
It's a great place to be in. All right, and then we're going to bring on Kit. What's up, Kit? How you doing, man?
Hey, Brian. How's it going, man?
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, Wes, we got the Texas boys on. I tell you what, these three are on fire in barbecue right now. If you have not been following barbecue, shame on you. You will know that these three teams are tearing up the top 10 all over the place, all the different chases. They're just killing it right now. So awesome, guys. Thank y'all so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
So what we do here on Chewin the BBQ Fat is just talk about barbecue and what's going on in the world. As you heard me say at the beginning of this show, we had probably the most fun at a contest that we have ever had. And it all started on Thursday. Went to dinner, and then everybody came back to the RV. And Lee, how many people do you think we had sitting there at the
12 to 15 people at least. The later the night went, the more people came.
Yeah. 2:45 in the morning, we were still up talking barbecue and solving all the barbecue problems of the world, right? But it was a great time. So, Kit, where did you cook last week?
Dodge City.
Oh, so you took the double.
Closest contest of the year, 7 hours.
Closest. So what part of Texas are you from?
Midland.
Is that near
West? West, no.
It's out west Texas.
Okay. So that's Midland Meat Company. I've heard of Midland Meat Company. Is that near there?
Yeah, they're out here. That's exactly where it is. Yep.
Nice. So 7 hours is the closest you get to go. I know Phil has smokers set up shop all over the country that he just sets up smokers and goes flies in, and Lee just cruises all over. It's amazing.
Lee has abandoned Texas. I'm surprised he's even on this show.
Come on, man. Hey, look, Bato.
Coming from the guy that's in Colorado.
Right?
What's that?
You're in Colorado. What are you talking about? You're in Colorado.
It's temporary. You have an address in North Carolina now, I think.
It does seem like it.
You're getting mail there, aren't you?
I do get mail there, yeah.
I at least go home every few weeks or whatever.
Man, it was
Right.
fun. But anyway, so Lee, I wanted to talk a little bit about, and let's get some of their opinions tonight while we got the Texas crowd on. Some of the different, and we won't get into everything we discussed on Thursday, but what do you want to ask these guys about some of the things that we were discussing Thursday night?
Kit and Phil, what do you think is the best way for an organization or a promoter or a cook-off to be successful? Does a cook-off rely solely on the promoter to promote the cook-off to bring in the cooks? Does it fall over on the cookers to promote the cooks, or does it kind of fall on both of us to solicit to get cookers to come to that cook-off? That was the main question.
Okay,
Whose responsibility is it to do it?
I'll start. I mean, I have some thoughts, but I don't know if it even, my thoughts are it doesn't fall. It's not responsible. Whoever's responsible doesn't really matter. I think to have a great cook-off, it's a combination effort between the promoter, the sanctioning body, and the cookers and sponsors. If the promoter does his job well and gets enough sponsors, you'll have money. Obviously, the sanctioning body has to support the cook-off. And, when you have cookers that support that, it's just a perfect combination, synergetic effect whenever all those come together.
I like that. Kit, what do you think?
It's hard to say. The promoters and the cooks both have incentive to have a bigger cook-off, a great cook-off. Wherever these cooks are being held, get the community involved, get the city involved, and the association. They do what they can do, but they're kind of limited, I think, on what they can do with their resources. I don't know anything else.
So my push was an IBCA. Almost every single cook-off we have in Texas is somehow it has sponsors. So the minute any cook arrives at the cook-off, it's already profit for the event that they're raising money for. It seems like in KCBS, I'm still new in KCBS, there's not that many sponsors that help push the events. So I think if they were to get more sponsors to help increase the pay, that would be great. But also, like you said, Kit, maybe get with the Chamber of Commerce, let them know, hey, we got a cook-off coming into your community. Maybe we can promote a little bit, let the community come look, walk around. Even though we're just a barbecue cook-off, there may not be a carnival, but they can at least have the community come in and walk around and talk to us as cooks just to kind of get an idea on what we do and look at the different rigs. Just somehow get the community involved. It seems like the last few cook-offs that I've attended in KCBS, there is no community. And that does happen throughout when it's just a barbecue cook-off. But if we can help the local community get involved, I think that would help KCBS.
Yeah, I will say mine's the opposite, Lee. The past two cook-offs I've gone to, I went to Greenwood, South Carolina, and man, I don't know, what did we have, 10,000 people a day? And then Dodge City, it's their Dodge City days. So both of them had the community very heavily involved in the last two I went to. And to comment on sponsors, you got to remember, we're fresh off a year of COVID, and it's even spiking again, and money's tight. I hear the common theme that I hear at almost every cook-off I go to from the promoters is, hey, normally we pay better, but we can't get sponsor money. So I think you have a couple factors fighting against us.
Yep.
Yeah, 100% agree with that last statement.
What are you seeing, Kit? I'm going to ask you since I don't know, just want to. What do you see in the different contests you're going to? Are there more or less teams involved, or is it about the same as it's been? Let me stop for a second. And shame on me for doing such a terrible job here. Kit, go ahead and introduce yourself, your team name, who you are, and everything else. I apologize. I should have done that up front.
Oh, no worries.
But I meant to do that anyway.
I'm Kit Parton, Midland, Texas. I'm Texas Smoke Whisperer. This is my first year running full-time KCBS. I've cooked IBCA, a few KCBS along the way where I could get to them and whatnot. All the ones in Texas that were close enough to drive. And it's exceeded my expectations this year. We kind of wanted to get out here and get our feet under us and see what it was going to be like. And, boom, boom, boom. And here we are. But yeah, that's who we are.
Awesome. Thank you. Phil?
I'm Phil Breeden with LC Barbecue out of Bandera, Texas. Again, this is my first full year running KCBS too. Similar to what Kit said, I just want to get out there and kind of test the waters and see how, if I committed a full year to KCBS, maybe how it'd shake out. So here we are.
All right, Lee.
The exact same thing. It's my first year doing KCBS. I did 2 years of IBCA. I just kind of want to get my feet wet and see what my Texas profile barbecue does outside of Texas.
And Lee, you have cooked. Where all have you cooked this year?
All of them. I've cooked all of them. All of them. Brian, I think
It feels that way sometimes.
All of them on the East Coast.
All of them on the East Coast. I mean, I've got Mississippi, Georgia. We'll have Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, West Virginia, Ohio, Illinois, Alabama. So that's kind of where I think I've traveled about 27 states, getting to all the states. But that's what I'm doing so far. A lot of them.
How many you cooked in Texas?
This year?
Yeah.
Or none?
Humble Radio.
Oh, that was last year, though.
No, it was just in January.
Was it?
Yeah,
Humble, Texas. Thank you.
What about you, Phil?
Where all have I cooked this year?
Yep.
Cooked Oklahoma, Montana, Nebraska, Illinois, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Texas. I think that's all of them.
Well, you've hit that. Kid, what about you?
Cooked Colorado, Montana, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma. I think that's all.
Okay. So my point in asking these questions is y'all have covered a lot of area. Y'all have covered a lot of different states. You've seen a lot of what's going on out there. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to set it up as saying y'all have been around. You've been all over the country. You've seen everything pretty much. Maybe not everything, but you've seen a lot of what's going on in barbecue around the country between the three of you. So Phil, were you going to say something? Okay. So going back to the Lee, you brought up sponsors. Kit, you agreed. Phil agreed. A lot of the comments right now are saying sponsors are hard to come by. Sponsors would be awesome. What do you do? How do you get sponsors? You got to work your butt off. Okay. All right. It's because this whole conversation started with it should be up to the cooks. One of the arguments was the cooks need to go out and be the promoter for barbecue. How can a cook, if a cook can, what can cooks do to help get sponsors for our hobby or our sport that we do?
Phil, you want to answer that one?
Hey, sorry, yo, skip me because he's taking the order right now. It's super loud. So give me 1 minute before y'all ask me.
Okay.
Hey, he's gone now, so we got more margaritas coming. What was the question?
What can cook teams do to help get sponsors part of the contest?
Oof. I don't know.
I'm with you.
I mean, I think a lot of cooks are starting off with trying to get sponsors themselves,
Right.
and now we're talking about cooks getting sponsors for cook-offs. I have no idea, and I do a lot of cook-offs. I wouldn't know where to start. I mean, I guess if you have the right connections and the right people.
You're fine. That's a good answer. I mean, that's your answer. That's your, Lee, what do you think?
Well, we all have friends on social media, but granted, we are traveling from state to state, and we don't know anybody in that local city. But it couldn't hurt to go ahead and promote. Hey, I'm going to be cooking the Shriner Cook-Off in Savannah, Georgia, on Facebook. Go check out the Shriner's website, whatever it may be. If they have a website, I have no idea. But maybe just put a little shout out. We got 4,000 plus friends. So if we just shout out where we're going, check out the local Chamber of Commerce if you want to come down and look at it. Because keep in mind, all of our friends aren't just in our home city; they're all over the states. So maybe they could just come out and come buy a hot dog or a local pizza at the local pizza parlor just to bring in some type of money, and maybe come by and say hi to us and just walk around. I mean, it's not our sole job to promote the cook-off, but I think it's our job to say, hey, we're going to be at this cook-off. Maybe you can come down, take a look at it. I've got friends in Savannah who are in the Coast Guard. I've already reached out to them, say, hey, I'm coming down this week. I'll be there Thursday. So we're going to go out and we're going to fellowship in the local restaurants, and they're going to come to the cook-off and hang out on Saturday. I haven't seen these guys in 15 years, but they're going to come and help spend money in the local community and come check out the cook-off. So I think we have a little bit of job we could do to help promote the cook-off, just to get people to look at it.
Just to gather support.
Correct.
Did I hear the question wrong? Is it to promote the cook-off or to get sponsors for a cook-off?
Make it better.
Sponsors. But
I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're saying right now.
Me? Who? Yeah, you can't hear me or Phil? Did you lose me, Phil?
He's in Midland. He's in Midland. The tower must be down.
Okay, gotcha. No, so the question being, and then it stems from, so this whole conversation, and I didn't know Lee was going to go here tonight, but I love it that he did. Where do the responsibilities fall? And I've got two guys on right now that are commenting who are actually organizers, and one of them are saying, and please, other organizers, come on and give us your example. One is saying it's the organizer's job to promote and gain event sponsors. The other one says if an event organizer wants a good contest, they better work harder than anybody else. Cooks have enough in cooking every weekend. What's up, Kerry? Hope you're having a good night, buddy. Good to see you. Stick that head in there and say hello. There he is. What's up, Kerry? How you doing, my man?
Hey, Brian.
Good to see you, buddy. So I'm under the impression. All right, let me just stop here. And Kit, can you hear me now, Kit?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. What is your favorite contest that you've ever been a part of?
Oh, geez. How do you pick one?
Or top three? Top three.
Recent contest, Absolute Montana, hands down.
Absorki.
Geez, Absolute Montana is the first one that comes to mind right now, because that place is beautiful. I've always liked Shiner, the 4th of July cook-off, IBCA, now CBA, in Shiner, Texas. About 100 of them tied for third. How about that?
What makes that a special contest to you? What makes them a special contest?
When you GC it. I mean, that's every one Kit just named, so.
He GC's them all, doesn't he? Doesn't he GC pretty much everything?
He's got a lot of favorites. He said pretty much all of them.
Can't hear anything.
What's amazing for me is all three of y'all have come out of nowhere. This is your first year of cooking in KCBS, and all three of you are just killing it in KCBS. It's amazing. So y'all, kudos to y'all. IBCA must be a great.
I'm just as surprised as anyone else. Trust me.
Man, you know, it's funny. Bill Purvis with Chicken Fried was supposed to be on tonight with us also. And Bill's the one that got Kit involved with coming on the show, and he couldn't come on. He's whatever. He's had prior obligations. But, you know, ever since he mentioned your name, Kit, you've won, I think, every contest or reserved or done something in the past 3 or 4 weeks. It's been amazing. Probably.
Hey, Bill, if you're watching the show, will you mention my name, please?
You don't have
I had a pretty good little run there for a while, but it was nice. It was fun. Thought I had some good stuff going, but I didn't realize it was gonna hit like it did. You know, it did. Unfortunate, and it's been fun. I'm just sitting back watching the two top guys right now duke it out.
It's a pretty impressive battle that's going on up there in Kansas. So anyway, Blaine misses you, Kit. Don't worry about me, Blaine. It's cool. Too funny. You know, I think Blaine had a good weekend this weekend cooking also, didn't he? I think he cooked up there at Dodge City with you. So, all right. Greenwood, South Carolina has gotten. I know Phil brought up Greenwood. Greenwood was an incredible contest. So the past 2 contests we cooked, Greenwood and then this weekend's contest. Greenwood was probably one of the best contests other than Sip and Swine, the Royal, that I've been a part of. Incredible contest. The ladies there did an amazing job of organizing it, promoting it. I think somebody told me that through the weekend, 40,000 people came through. And they had all the stuff that we're talking about. And it's also, I think it was what, Lee, do you remember if they said it was no, you weren't there. Phil, do you remember it was the 25th or 30th year or something like that?
Man, I don't know. It just came from Dodge City. It was the 30th year there, so it kind of runs together. 22nd, maybe, Brian?
Yes,
25th?
A long time.
I mean, it was a great event. It was it really had the public involved. It was and the public was real respectful, so there was no problems. I mean, you could tell the town's used to doing that event. It was a great one to go to.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, I think those people did a great job pushing it and organizing it. And, you know, and the organizer does a good job. The cook teams have to do a good job. And anyway, I think we've talked enough about that, Lee. So let's get into the meat of what we wanted to talk about tonight. And that's Texas barbecue and how dominant Texas has become in cooking barbecue. And I don't want to say a short time. Boomerang barbecue, what, past 3 years? He swept all 4 categories, won Team of the Year last year. The year before, he was back-to-back with Brad getting basted. So it's not like Texas is new. Fred Robles he's been doing really well. And there's some other Texas teams that have done well. But now I just feel all of a sudden some of you Texas guys are coming out and just on fire. What is it about Texas barbecue? I mean, is it all of LC's products that is just killing it? Or what is it that is making Texas barbecue so good? Phil, I'll let you start.
Okay, I'll start. You know, I think that what you see there in each scenario you just named was cooks that get out there and do it. I can't really name any cooks that didn't try to go run KCBS or tried to run KCBS and just didn't work out. But, you know, when Matt decided to run, he did well. Lee's decided to run, he's doing well. Bill's first year, Bill Purvis, he's running. I'm running. Kit's running. There's not a whole lot of other people that are running because the travel's so hard. I mean, like Kit said, 7 hours was his closest contest. I think our closest is 6. So, you know, every weekend you got to be ready to go 10 or 12 hours on the short ones if you want to run hard and cook a lot of contests and see how it shakes out. I think Texas is full of, lots and lots, endless amounts of quality cooks that are in Texas. The travel just gets to all of us to where it's too hard to run KCBS when you only have about 5 events that are KCBS in Texas per year. You're going to have to wear out some tires if you want to run. So I think that's what holds all the Texas cooks back from KCBS. Within the organizations, IBCA or CBA now, every weekend we go heads up with 40, 50 good teams. So I think we just got a glimpse of the ones who hop outside of that zone.
So
Right, I agree. I think that the travel is the big thing in
I
Texas.
100% agree with that.
It's just so dang big. It's 11 hours each way, north, south, east, west, to leave Texas. And it's, the cost of fuel, the cost of the entry fee, just to be away from the family. It's hard to drive on Friday and come back on Saturday. You just can't do it. You have to start leaving on Thursday just to get to the cook-off by Friday afternoon, get your meat inspected and cooked. So it's very challenging to leave the state to go to a KCBS cook-off. We're just fortunate enough to where we can hit the road and cook. So like Phil said, there's hundreds of great cooks, if not thousands in Texas. It's hard to leave the state to go cook KCBS.
Yeah,
I'll pick up on that. That's both of what y'all said is exactly right. There's so many great cooks in the state of Texas. It's unbelievable, but the resources is one thing. The time is the other. A normal week for me, if it's a double, I get home Monday morning sometime. No way I'm going to drive 14 hours after awards on a Sunday. I start getting sauces and rubs ready. Tuesday is running out sourcing meat and trimming. Wednesday is finishing trimming and loading the trailer. Thursday's leaving. And wash, rinse, repeat. It's tough. Not a lot of people can do it. And us three are fortunate that we're able to do that this year. And Bill also.
Yeah. So Kit, let me ask you a question about, everybody thinks we always talk about KCBS and KCBS is the only, whatever. I'm not KCBS is, barbecue is bigger than KCBS, right? So what can you attribute IBCA or CBA or BCA or any of the other contest section bodies that you might have cooked? Do you see any of that helping you in the other sanctioning bodies going to KCBS and running KCBS, or are you cooking completely different?
You can't change what you're doing. To me, tenderness is the biggest difference between all the sanctioned bodies versus KCBS. The flavor profiles are somewhat different. You got to make an adjustment there. You can look at my contest this year as a great example. I thought I had something going that I'd go into the year with back in March. Shawnee was my first contest this year. That went off the rails pretty quick. And by the time I'd cooked up in Missouri by May 1st, I said, okay, we're going to blow it up again. And we went to Plainview, switched over to a new product, used some of Phil's stuff. And it's been blowing and going ever since. So for me anyway, there were some adjustments. It's worked out and here we are.
Hey, I'd like to comment on that, Brian.
Go for it.
So hold on, earbud fell out. So, IBCA has been for years the prominent or the largest sanctioning body in Texas. And, I think the question is like, what makes, where does that come from? There's more sanctioning bodies. Well, it's kind of like IBCA is what's there. And once you go play in KCBS, it's the same game. It's the same thing, just different rules. So tell us what the rules are, and then you got to adjust and go learn that. So it would be no different for KCBS cooks to come cook in Texas and IBCA or CBA events to kind of learn the nuances of that and what wins, and they would adjust and figure it out. So what trained us to be good cooks is just cooking every weekend in Texas and doing the same thing everybody does in the rest of the country. It's just, our playground's so big, it's hard to get outside of Texas. So that's what we know. And once we get outside of that, like it's kind of like it's Texas and the rest of the world. That's what it feels like in barbecue, or at least that's what it feels like to me. You know, you're either Texas or everywhere else.
Yeah. Lee, what do you think?
I agree. So my little mission was, like, IBCA is where I cut my teeth 2 years ago. I love IBCA, love everything about it, love everybody in the organization. But I achieved my little goals in IBCA, and I wanted to branch off outside of Texas to do KCBS. All the guys you see on TV, World Title Championships, it seems like they're all KCBS. They're not really just Texas teams, except for Fred Robles and Matt Walker from Boomerang. There are very, very limited guys from Texas who are world champions. And I just kind of wanted to see what it is to be in the same playing field as what I see on TV and what I see on KCBS websites on where the world champions are coming from. What are they doing? What's their profile? How are they cooking? I know it's different than IBCA, and I wanted to learn it. So I just kind of wanted to broaden my knowledge on barbecue. So that's why I left Texas to come see the same playing field that the world champions cook in. So that's why I did it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much KCBS it's what everybody shoots for, right? Like anybody that goes out and wins, like you won IBCA 2 years ago, I think, or you and Lee,
19
back years, right?
Right.
Yeah, Lee was 19, I was 20.
So y'all were the two KC or IBCA, and I know like Chris Schaefer, he was the St. Louis Barbecue Association, whatever that's called. And it's like you leave the other ones to go cook KCBS, and KCBS is, and I think the reason is what y'all are doing. KCBS is nationwide, right? Like it's worldwide, and it's just a way of saying, hey, I'm the best of the best all around. But I don't think there's anything wrong with cutting your teeth in the local sanctioning bodies. Right? I mean,
that's all we had. So of course, and that gives us the foundation for great knowledge.
Well, I see it a little different from that. I really wouldn't really call it cutting your teeth on the local sanctioning body, even if it's St. Louis. Chris went and did that, and he did well, and he probably felt like he conquered it. And what's the next challenge? At least that's how I felt.
And that's a better way. That's a much better.
Yeah, for sure. Not to take anything away from it. I still cook IBCA. I still cook CBA. If it turns out that I got to fly to Maine to do a KCBS because that's the only one on a weekend, I might not want to do that. Well, I'll just drive 5 hours in Texas and do an IBCA cook-off or a CBA. So I still cook those. We haven't graduated or anything like that. For me, it's just what's that next challenge? And obviously, having LC Barbecue, I feel like everybody in Texas is very familiar with my products, but going into KCBS, people don't know. So it's helped our business tremendously.
It's funny, Phil. I had you on the show a year ago, maybe.
Yeah, at least it feels like, it was something like that, Brian. You're right.
And you were new to me, right? Like you were the guy that just won IBCA, and I didn't know about your products. I don't know how many people in this area knew about your products, and I'm not saying our show did it, but we brought you on, and I was introduced to your products, and I was introduced to all your flavor profiles that you have at LC Barbecue. And I want to say ever since then, they've taken off. I mean, like my buddy Greg, Chef Greg at RecTech is on. He's like, LC's got some products coming to the RecTech Academy next week. It's just, I would say your products have grown. You're tremendously. Bill's even got his chicken grind or rib grind. Just it seems like it's coming out, and I don't know. I don't know what it is, but is that flavor profile in Texas must just be right down the middle that everybody's looking for. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. That's just what it seems like we're finding.
Well, I don't know that somebody outside of Texas can come to Texas and do well. I know they do. Bobby Stanfield, I think he RGC'd Humble Rodeo year before last. So those guys can. It's mainly like Lee said. It's a tenderness thing. that's the biggest difference between what we do in different sanctioning bodies is the tenderness. So
yeah. So speaking of that, that'll take me in another direction that I want to ask a question of. My buddy's on. He was Scott Parr, Cool Hand Q. He's a local Georgia team. I believe he's an up and coming cook. He's awesome. Lee, what could you tell somebody like Scott, who the past 3 contests has scored in the 688, 689 range? He's hitting the 170, 172 in every category, right on the verge of getting to that next level, but also not to the point to where he needs to change anything because he's doing good. He's getting top 10, top 5s. Oh, gets back.
Yeah, definitely don't change. There's Kit. I wonder where he went.
Well, I left. I need another beer.
he had to get another beer. I could have told you, Lee.
Yeah, so that's been my biggest struggle, Brian, is actually in KCBS is that tenderness game. In IBCA, we overcook everything. The judges use a plastic fork and knife. So my profile hasn't changed by going over to KCBS. I still run my same basic rubs that I run. The only thing that I have added is I've introduced the blues hog. I never used blues hog, and now I have to use it a little bit, almost on everything, and it works. Hey, if it's working for everybody, you got to use it. But my thing is, if you're doing well, you're almost there. Just adjust your tenderness. That's the biggest thing, I think. We all have great barbecue. It's just the tenderness. You have to nail your tenderness. And Travis Clark, Brad, and Joe, they have that down to a science. They nail it every time, as it was done this weekend in Dodge City. So I think just keep cooking and just work on your tenderness. That's what I think.
Yeah. So Kid, did you hear that question at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So I have a buddy that's scoring in the 170 to 172 range in all 4 categories consistently, which is what I strive for, which I think is what most teams strive for, until you get to y'all's level, and now you're looking for the 175 to 178s in every category, right? What can you tell somebody to get to that next level? And tenderness is the game. I understand what Lee's saying.
If you don't nail tenderness, everything else is tough. For me, what I feel like I stepped my game up was after everything was off the pit and on the cutting board, my finishing. Paid more attention to your finishing, how it goes in the box, what you do to it before it goes in the box. You can cover up a bad taste if you have tenderness nailed. You can't cover up missing your tenderness. So I think that's the biggest thing for me.
If you were going to change, right, and your tenderness scores were 8s and 9s, would you tend to go farther over or farther under, or less, or more under? What would be your first choice to change?
So,
well, I'll let you answer that since I don't want to.
Comment card or two.
Okay.
Go ahead, Phil.
No, kid. You were going to answer it. I'm going to let you go. I didn't know you were going to answer that.
Okay. With that one, a comment card or two would help, I think everybody can agree with that one. So you get a 7 or an 8 even. Was I over, was I under? Generally, you should know whether you were or weren't, and just go whichever direction you think. It might take you a couple of cook-offs to dial it in, but once you get it, you get it.
Thank you. Phil, what do you think?
So I think on that, it sounds like you're in, as far as the situation, he's in the mix. He's just having a hard time getting over that hump, which can be very frustrating. It does, like Lee said, hey, keep throwing it at him. Your day will come. Heard Brad say it many times. Great cooks put good barbecue in front of judges, and when they hit the right tables, it's their day. So, that's one way to look at it. To what Kit said on tenderness, if you're not nailing tenderness, you're going to have a bad day. If you can nail tenderness every time, you can play around with your flavor profiles and kind of see where you have better results and try to zone in on one meat at a time. It takes time to kind of get there. If you want to go further than that, there's lots of classes out there that could maybe just kind of get you over the hump to get into that, 695, 700 mark. And in addition, something I do to try to improve each cook-off that I do is, used to, when I dabbled in KCBS and only did 3 or 4 a year, it could be knee-jerk whenever you get comments or, whenever you see what you did on meat, you want to go the entire opposite direction. But you kind of got to analyze the scorecard, and if it was one judge making that or if it was a consensus. I'll take my score sheet after every cook-off, and I'll just kind of do takeaways. If I agree on, like, if my tenderness was off, does it make sense? So I just try to look at it on a law of averages to see if I can pull something away for the next comp.
I like that. That was my answer too, is tenderness. But then it's like, well, do you go over? Do you go under? What do you do with tenderness? And I think Kid hit the nail on the head. You gotta cook a bunch to figure it out. I mean, you gotta keep going and try more things, right? Thanks, Scott. So anyway, and that's not just directed at Scott. Scott's a guy that is doing great, and I'm asking for myself. Like, at what point in time, what do you do differently? But it's pretty awesome.
Something. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Something Kit and I were talking about just this weekend in Dodge City. I think for us, I don't get a lot of comment cards. Kit doesn't either. And sometimes when you're, we're looking for all 9s. That's what we want to get. And when you have an 8, that kind of hurts our chances at any particular cook-off. And what I see from KCBS is, if you give them a 6, give them a scorecard and tell them why, Well, look, if I have a 6 on something, I probably know why it was there. It was either over or under, or I probably know how I screwed that up. What we don't know is when we get an 8, why wasn't it a 9? So for us, like for me, what would help me tremendously is if a judge would tell me, hey, it's an 8, it would have been a 9 for this or that. I don't really need it for the 6s. I need it for the 8s. How come the comment card can't be, why wasn't it a 9?
So should we have another comment card? Should we have another comment card discussion here on Chewin the BBQ Fat? We just
Hey, look, I just had to say that. Sorry, go wherever you want. I didn't want to lose my train of thought. I never would have thought of that again. It never would have been said.
It's interesting because I had a comment card on brisket this weekend. My brisket was overcooked. I mean, I pulled back in from the funeral, started slicing the brisket. It was overcooked. Right? I had to use a spatula to put it into the box. I got one.
So did you need a comment card that said it was over? No, you knew that, right? No, sorry.
So where I'm confused is, and maybe this shows my lack of what I barbecue. I had one that said overcooked, fell apart. Spot on, I agree. And the other one said too tough and chewy. I'm like, how is it too tough and chewy? I mean, the thing fell apart. Right, I don't know what to do with that, and I'm just sitting.
And it was dry, and it was dry and moist all at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
I think it's where you trust your better judgment. I think you know where it was.
They were over.
Like, crazy.
So and Matt Goodman, I know you're watching and you're just chuckling right now because of all the comment card stuff that has been said. But it's like I just sat there and I'm with you. Like, okay, I know it was over. I needed, we got to fix that part of it. Not so much as, I'm throwing the fatty or the chewy, too tough went away. Like that one to me, there's no way. And if it was, I don't know what the heck happened. Right. But anyway.
I've got a question. What can Texas do to draw in KCBS cooks to come cook in Texas? What does it take to bring them down?
Really good question, Lee.
We're going to KCBS. What can we do to bring KCBS cooks to come do an IBCA, a Lone Star, or CBA? What do we need to do? It's a
whole other world of cookers if we can get KCBS down here too,
Right. What can we do as Texans?
So you're saying how can you draw KCBS cooks into IBCA or CBA?
Just to come down and cook. Right. Like, you know what? Let's go do KCBS. let's drive down to an IBCA Lone Star CBA. What would it take? Our payouts are pretty good.
Paul
And
Copper
remember,
says a flying in. Paul,
I don't know where he lives. But,
Tennessee. Paul, you know Rooters and Tutors and Paul.
oh, Paul. I couldn't hear the name. Paul, yeah.
Yeah, fly me.
Yeah. But let's be realistic, you know. I mean, is that it? It's just the mileage. This is too far.
You know, so far we got Brian Payne said move Texas closer to Missouri. I think that this is just me shooting off the hip, right? Kit's in Midland. Couldn't tell you where Midland is, but he says it's on the west side of Texas. So
He's by New Mexico.
So you might have to put one over there and hope to draw teams from the western side, right? And
That's Lubbock.
Do what?
That's Lubbock.
Right.
Lubbock.
Right.
Okay.
Lubbock's coming up. So you've got that example coming up in
The Red Raider cook-off.
yeah, 2 weeks.
Is anybody like? Is it?
It's KCBS.
Is it full? Does it have a lot of teams in it?
Always.
Kit can tell you. And Lee, you cooked it, right?
Yeah.
Kid, what's
They
the?
they usually have a good draw there.
Okay. From just Texas or from all over the country?
There's a lot of Oklahoma teams make it because it's not too bad of a drive for them.
Yeah, location draws KCBS outside of Texas because it's really close to get to from Oklahoma, Kansas.
A lot of teams will come down.
Yeah, so it being so far north makes it a draw for KCBS teams.
Like if Corpus Christi, Texas, were 2.5 hours from Mexico, 4 hours from Houston, 2 hours from San Antonio. If Corpus Christi had a KCBS cook-off, would any other states come down and cook it? And to get them down, is it going to require you got to have a high payout to get them down? Do you have to have electricity? Do you have to have water? Most of our cook-offs in Texas do not have electricity. We all bring our own generators. Would that be a negative to bring a KCBS team down to Texas? That's what I mean. How far will they travel, and what do they need to come to Texas? I'd love to have KCBS come to Texas.
You'll never have 30 teams show up, Lee. It's no different than when we go cook in North Carolina. There's 2 of us. I mean, you don't have 30 teams from Texas come. And what I really thought you were asking is, how can we get KCBS down to Texas? Which intrigued me as a question because there's a lot of Texas cooks that want to cook KCBS, but it's so far. The same reason that KCBS in general cooks aren't cooking in Texas is because it's far. It's expensive to get there. Then you got to stay. You know, everything's expensive about it. Money makes the world turn. So, you know, that's one of the biggest problems is it's just expensive.
All right. I want to see if I can get some of our viewers to please comment on Lee's. What would it take you to get to Texas? And obviously you're going to start with all the states local surrounding Texas. But before that, Jennifer, I would love for you to post the Lubbock Red Raider Red.
Red Raider.
Okay, Red Raider website on so I can post that. Love to see if we can get some more of the local team or the outside of Texas teams to sign up. So if you'll post the application site or however the website, I'll put it on here so people can look into it. And this is me. This is just me as an outsider, not from Texas. And this is my thoughts. It means nothing. To me, it would be, it's the Raider Red cook-off. Okay. To me, it would be have contest on the outskirts of Texas that you're going to be able to draw. Like, is Corpus Christi, you were saying that is on the East Coast of Texas, right?
South. Yeah.
South Gulf Coast.
Of course it's on the East Coast of Texas.
We are on the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah.
What would it take to get Louisiana teams? How far is Louisiana from Corpus Christi?
5.5 hours, 6 hours, something like that.
7 hours to New Orleans.
7 hours to New Orleans. Okay.
From Corpus Christi.
I am Kerry. I haven't studied my Texas geography here lately. Not real sure where everything is in Texas. So big, it's its own place. But but it's almost like if you can get some of the surrounding states to come join and cook in Texas, and then you can spotlight what Texas offers, I think you would be able to have more and then you could get more central. You know, Humble, everybody talks about Humble. Everybody has talked how great of a contest Humble is. So, go ahead, Phil. Okay. I am drinking Diet Coke tonight. Thank you very much. So, not nut wine and not sweet tea, but I believe that we got to do something. And then I think Phil said earlier that there's not many quesadilla contests in Texas. There's 5 contests.
Normally 5 or 6 a year. Like when there's not COVID, I think we're down to like 2. Humble and Lubbock, I think, are the only. Waco, we did Waco too. So, I mean, 3. Cedar Park, 4. I mean, that's one of those Huntsville. We don't. Shotgun Fred hasn't happened the past couple years. Bedford hasn't happened the past couple years. So, Lubbock, Waco, Humble, Cedar Park. That's 4. Once every 3 months, if you want to cook KCBS in Texas.
Well, okay. So, going back to Lee's original question at the beginning of this show, is that up to the teams or is that up to the organizers in the state or the promoters? Kit wants another beer. Beer, Kit. He needs another.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, anyone can.
Don't try to surprise anybody.
Who is that up to? I feel that's up to, you know, I mean, if you're in Texas, you as an organizer, you want to have the best contest you're going to possibly have. If you know that by putting on a CBA or an IBCA or a BCA contest is your best bet of having a good contest, what makes you choose KCBS over IBCA or CBA? And Lee, what do you think? Why would an organizer choose KCBS over one of those in Texas?
Why would they choose KCBS over the other organizations in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's different. It's a different. We don't use garnishing in Texas. CBA is real close now to KCBS, and I'm glad CBA is in Texas. It gives us the cooks another organization to go cook with because they have pork. So we have chicken, brisket, rib, and pork, but it's a half chicken, 7 slices of brisket, 7 ribs, and anything pork. So you can just cook a money muscle and turn in money muscle or chunks, whatever you want to do.
Well,
but it's just one more avenue for us to choose to co-cook. Go ahead, Kit. I'm sorry.
you mentioned the pork thing. You know, IBCA's never had pork. It was an ancillary if you had it.
No, they did have pork, Kit. They did up until
well, they did have up to a couple of years, but not many contests had it. It wasn't mandatory to win a GC.
That's correct.
You didn't have pork. Yeah.
But they did have optional pork that certain events, about 6 or 8 events a year, did do pork until they cut it out a couple years ago.
Now that CBA's come along, and you essentially can cook a KCBS pork butt in CBA. You know, you turn it in, whatever. Hopefully that'll get a lot of the guys off the fence to travel to a couple of KCBS contests outside of Texas. I know Brian Crawford, Oscar, came up to Dodge City and had some success. Maybe they'll go back and tell somebody and get a couple others to hit the bordering states anyway, at least come up to Oklahoma. There's a few in Arkansas even. New Mexico, they're kind of, Lovington may be coming around in November, I believe. That's one a lot of people from Texas could go over and try. So I'd like to see more people from Texas get out there. There's some great cooks. They just don't know it. They just don't know if they can cook in KCBS yet.
Yeah, so CBA, to your point, Kit, has brought the sanctioning bodies much closer with having pork, and then pretty much the only difference is CBA is 1/2 chicken as opposed to 6 pieces where you would do legs, thighs, or whatever, and then the garnish where it being full in CBA and greens in KCBS. So it's brought it a lot. It's made a lot of Texas cookers kind of experience more what KCBS cook-offs are like.
And to all my KCBS friends, if I can learn how to cook legs and thighs, you can learn how to cook half chickens. Come down and cook one sometime.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Paul said earlier in the year would help Texas. And I could see that, right? Like some in a slower time, time where Texas, you can go cook in Texas, and if it's in January, February, I don't know what the weather's like, but I'm sure it's not like it is.
Like November and December, throw some KCBS cook-offs.
Yeah,
it's comfortable. You can swim all the way until November.
right.
So then it starts to get a little cool. So that's a good point, Paul. Yes, sir.
So, and I know your head's turning about this Corpus Christi thing, and I think it's a great idea. And we do have to figure out how can we get teams to come in to do this stuff. I mean, I believe the promoter has to do a good job of giving a person a reason to come cook that contest. So, that's my take.
So would it take a higher payout to get in November, December teams to come down from Missouri, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Oklahoma, down that far? Is that like the incentive you'd have to have is a higher payout? Or it's just a mute point why even talk about KCBS that far down in Texas? We're 3 hours from Mexico. I mean, we're pretty far down. So, I mean, I think it'd be great to have one that far down in Texas more often, but I don't know. That's just, I love CBA. I love BCA, IBCA, and KCBS. I think Texas has enough land and enough people to even sustain one more sanctioning body more often than 4 times a year.
Oh, I would think Texas could handle filling up a KCBS contest by itself. I mean,
as long as it's up north, Texas. Play them down south, I may not want to come.
That's good. I mean, I don't know.
What would be the drive to get people to come down that far? What is it? A double? A triple? Do a triple?
Back-to-back weekends of a triple? I mean, hey.
I'm out.
No, do a double on day 1 and then a single on day 2.
I'm out. I just did back-to-back doubles. I'm out.
What would you think about the triple?
Double. 2 turn-ins on Saturday and then 1 turn-in on Sunday for a triple on one weekend. While you're there, why not do it? Or is that just too much?
It's a great idea. I love the idea. Kit, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if I could do it. I'm old.
Right.
That one meat rib contest wore me out this weekend. So
speaking of the one meat contest, thank you for bringing that up, Kit. What were your thoughts on the one meat contest? Did you enjoy it?
I like it. I like it a lot. I realize there's a points chase for it. In my situation with my travel and everything, I don't do them all the time. Sleep and rest and getting ready for the real cook-off is more important to me. But you can use them as an opportunity to do an experiment. Say you got something in the back of your head, you think I'd really like to try this rib, but I'm not going to do it in a contest because I know what works. Do it in a one meat rib contest. You're getting judged by the KCBS judges. It's better than taking it over to your friends saying, hey, what do you think about this? Because they really don't know jack, I like them. And I'll try to do it. Any one that I can possibly do, I'll do.
That's my thoughts. It seems like in the Southeast, we will not do a one meat contest. For whatever reason, we just won't do it.
And
I wish we would.
Can I comment one more on that? I'd like to see them do chicken instead of ribs sometime. I mean, hell, that'd even be easier. Except you have to trim more chicken.
Now they are doing a one meat cook-off, rib and chicken between Myrtle Beach cook-offs in a few more weeks. So there's a chicken and a rib on Wednesday. Just to put that out there.
I got something to add to it. Something I talked to David McAllister about over a year ago, and really it could help answer Lee's question on getting KCBS cooks in Texas and Texas cooks in KCBS as well. But we talk about a one meat. Envision this to where you had a KCBS cook off on Saturday and Friday you turned in a IBCA half chicken as a one meat challenge. Well, that's going to expose a large number of KCBS cooks to an IBCA or a CBA half chicken. Same thing. You have a CBA or an IBCA down in Texas, and Friday night you have a one meat KCBS turn in. So you're exposed to that tenderness, the greenery, and the unfamiliarity with what your sanctioning body is, and it helps cross promote sanctioning bodies.
Damn good idea.
Right?
You asking me my thoughts?
Yes. Yes.
I love it. I love the thought of it, but I don't see how practical it is. I think to me, it's one of those deals with you have SCA coming to barbecue contest. If you're going to do the one meat contest at a KCBS contest, you already have the rep there. You already have the judges there. You don't have to bring in another sanctioning body. You don't have to bring in a whole nother set of judges. If you could make it work, I think that would be great. I think it would be great, but I just feel like it's hard to get, and you got to be able to at least break even or make money or do something. Most of the times we're doing these contests for a charity or something else along those lines. The ones that are.
Hey, we're right back where we started. Money and travel. Money and travel.
But that's for the cook
team. Right where we started.
You're talking about money and travel for a cook team.
It's the same for judges. It's money and travel. It's the same for sanctioned bodies. Money and travel. Distance is money. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, and I think it would be easier to do. I mean, start with the KCBS one meat and then incorporate a CBA.
No, that's cool. I'm just saying, and it doesn't have to be sanctioned. You don't have to do a KCBS. You could just run by those rules and the interpretation of it to expose. It was just an idea to expose sanctioning bodies. Every sanctioning body kind of thinks that way. Is how could we get more cookers? Expose them to the things that they're afraid of, type deal.
Yeah, I mean, and I just want to see it. I would rather see that than nothing, right? Like I would rather see something like that than nothing, right? Like, but if we're there to cook, we're there to cook barbecue, let's cook barbecue. I'm not bashing SCA. I don't want to get into that. I think SCA is awesome. I think they're growing. It's a huge sport here in the Southeast. I think it's growing more than other places, but I know it's big here in the Southeast. And they're doing some good things.
And not that you would do it every time, Brian, but think about it. If you only did it 3 times a year in Texas and those were 150 or 200 team cook-offs and they could incorporate that on a Friday night, that's a lot of exposure. Yes. Not that you would every time for a 30-team cook-off because half the teams aren't going to do it anyway. But if you had a 200-team cook-off, which there's quite a few of those in Texas that have that many teams, you could fly 2 reps down and expose them to that for that exposure, And the same thing for IBCA and CBA. They want to draw teams from out of state or they want to expand out of state in their sanctioning body because they're not in any way limited geographically to Texas. It's just a big state. They both have plans to grow outside of it. Okay, how are you going to grow outside of it? Money, travel, and exposure. So pick a huge event. There's 100 teams. Banjo Q or I don't know, Shawnee, Oklahoma. Work with those promoters. Yeah, Sip and Swine. There's Greenwood. Think about a Friday night IBCA meet. It's worth that sanctioning body. If they want to grow, that's the kind of things you need to grow. We can talk about it all day long, or we can do some things. So that's just what I think.
What I love about that is, all right. So I'm just listening. So you're saying that the sanctioning body should put the effort into reaching out to have that to grow their sanctioning body.
Hey, back to my original statement 30 seconds into the show. It's the cookers, it's the promoters, it's the sanctioning body. If you don't have effort out of all 3, if you have 2 out of 3, you have a good event. If you have 3 out of 3, you have a great event. So It takes the combination effort of everybody. And I think as long as a promoter loves barbecue, the sanctioning body loves barbecue, and the cooker loves barbecue, all these things can prosper from it. It's when people turn against sanctioning bodies. That's negative. It's the judges. Your competitors are turning against judges. When you bring the negativity in it, that's where things stop and we just get into the bicker and how can we fix this? It's when we're not working together.
I love that, like any of the huge contests, and like you said, y'all have a lot more big contests in Texas. I mean, you got, Houston Rodeo, Humble, like y'all got a lot of them, right? The St. Louis or San Antonio Rodeo, isn't that a big one too?
Oh yeah.
There's probably 20, 25 cooks every year in Texas that are over 100 teams, and I might be shooting that quite a bit low. So.
How many cooks or how many contests throughout the country would you say have over 100 teams in them outside of, just all over the place?
I don't know. I think Sippin' Greenwood was 81 or something like that. Sippin' Swam was 85. I don't know that I've cooked at a over 100 team cook-off this year. I can't remember one. There are a lot of 50, 60 teams, but and of course it's kind of abnormal too. I know a lot of cook-offs are, some of the bigger ones are held back the past year. Hard to say, but no, I can't remember one over 100 teams other than the Royal, so.
The Royal's the only one I can think of. And then you're saying I got 20 something in Texas. I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. It's not uncommon to draw over 100 teams. And, and something that a lot of out-of-state teams don't know, as far as Jack, most states, if have state proclamations to where if it's over 25 teams, it's a state championship, and it's an automatic Jack draw. In Texas, we don't have a blanket. From what I understand, the Jack won't give Texas one. I don't really know anything about that. It's just what I heard or understand. And so most of the GCs that we qualify for have to be over 50 teams. We've got tons of GCs, 36, 39, 45. Those aren't Jack qualifiers. And there's just a minimal amount of.
Is IBCA a 3-meet?
And it has nothing to do with that. It doesn't matter the sanction body. It's the same for CBA. It's the same for Lone Star. It's the same for IBCA. The rules are the same in Texas. You have to have a state championship proclamation. And, man, I would say 1 in 20, 1 in 25 cook-offs in Texas have that. So most of the time, if we want Jack draws, qualifiers, it has to be over 50 teams. So those can be tough.
No wonder y'all are always leaving Texas to go to cook other places.
Well, think about it. Phil went to Montana, right, for a Jack draw. You have to go where you can maybe get a Jack draw. Yeah, and Bill, you go where you can.
When we get a GC out of state, our GCs in state, it just might as well not have them because you got about a 1 in 200 chance, give or take, on drawing out of Texas. So it's basically impossible. You need 7 or you got to win the big one. You got to win the American Royal. You got to win the automatics to get to the Jack. It's very, very tough.
That's very interesting. Kid, you haven't been able to say much. Do you have any thoughts to go along with any of this?
I'm sorry?
I said I haven't asked you many questions. I haven't asked your opinion on much. Do you have anything you want to add?
They both pretty much nailed it. It's to the 100-team thing, like Phil was talking, I haven't cooked a KCBS cook near that big, not even close. Except maybe Humble got close one year in the Royal.
That's right. Yeah, Humble. It was in Texas, but yeah, there was 120, 130.
Yeah, so. And it's those two. That's it. In Texas, good God, I don't even know how many cooks I've cooked with over 100 teams, and dozens and dozens over 50. It's I don't know.
Hey Kit, you misheard the question. He said, "How were your ribs this weekend?"
Oh, they sucked. Right. The judges agreed. They told me so.
Sorry, Brian.
That was behind the scenes, backstage prep.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to I'm sorry. I was reading Steven's comment, and I want to say one thing about Steven Ellis. He is the promoter, organizer, trash man, got everything going, you name it, the guy did it this weekend at the contest that we had at the GBC Throwdown. I might have said some things critical of that contest last week or the week before, whatever. I put my foot in my mouth. Steven Ellis did an amazing job. It was extremely well run contest. Everything he did by himself. I mean, he was a one-man show that absolutely dominated a contest. And all I've ever heard is you got to have team. It takes a team. It takes a team. It takes a team. And I guarantee you, Steven would say, I wish I had more help. But he did everything by himself this weekend. And Lee, you were there, and you could attest. I mean, he did an absolutely amazing job. People got onto him in the SCA about canceling everything. I understand why he did it now, I think. I mean, he did an absolute amazing job of putting on a contest. Steven, kudos to you. You did a great job. Hopefully the next one you do, you'll have a little bit more help. But what you did was absolutely amazing this weekend. And then you got more to show, and I can't read it all here on this. I can't read the whole comment. But he says, I'm just get a chance to comment on here after listening a good bit. I just wanted to give a background on who Steven Ellis is. As for who's responsible for the sponsors of the contest, it's ultimately up to the organizers, promoters. But, and this is where I think, Lee, this is where we all agree, right? But there shouldn't deter anyone who has personal connections with someone that they think would get some benefit from donating to that cause and reach out themselves versus just saying, hey, contact this person. I deal with that BS a lot in an actual nonprofits, and it's kind of annoying. Whoever has the best chance to get, I'm assuming this is what we're saying, I just got ... Whoever has the best chance to get in touch with somebody needs to get in touch with them. But I still say you are getting that person and getting them to get in touch with the contest organizer or promoter, because at the end of the day, they're the one that's going to be doing it. So all the organizers and promoters that have been on here have said it's up to the organizers and promoters to promote the sport or their contest, not the sport, but their contest. Lee, I would say the people that promote the sport is up to the cook teams, right? Sanctioning bodies,
right?
The sanctioning bodies to get their sanctioning body to grow. So, Phil, I'm with you. It's up to all three. It's up to everybody as we come around to this whole circle of. But I do believe that there is certain things that are responsible within each contest. So,
look, since we just cooked Cumming, Georgia. And it was an excellent cook-off. I had no idea what I was expecting to do. I mean, hell, I didn't even pay until I got there. I'm glad Steve let me pay when I got there. I didn't prepay for that one. And let me tell you, that was one of the best cook-offs I've been to. Now, I need to promote that next year. Hey, I went to this cook-off last year. I got 5,000 friends on Facebook. Go to this cook-off. Come check it out. Drive up from Savannah. Drive up from Biloxi, drive up, check out this cook-off. So it is my job as a cook to help promote, to make the organization grow, the event grow, and to let, we'll call them civilians, non-cookers, come up and check out what we do, as seen on TV. Man, that is a great cook-off that he did this weekend. You hit the nail on the head, how there was not one flaw as a cook that we saw. It was perfect. So I think it is our job, the promoter's job and the rep's job at KCBS, to advertise it. If it's a great cook-off, flaunt it, promote it. If it's a shithole cook-off, I'm not going to talk about it, right? Why would I? If it was a dive, I didn't like it, it was terrible, I'm not going to promote it or talk about it. So I think it is a big responsibility on the cook, if we know the event has done well in the past, to help it out. It only makes it better.
For sure. Yep. And real quick, I got another promoter, Jonathan Lewis. He's the one that's in charge of Savannah this weekend. I do believe he's looking for one or two more teams to come cook. If you're looking for a place to cook this weekend, and you want to be down at Savannah, Georgia, right on the river, it's not on the river. You're 10 minutes from the river, but you're near there, close to the Savannah. sign up for his site. I mean, sign up for his contest. It's Swine at the Shrine. It's a great contest. Lee, you're going to have a great time there. And they do a really cool job. And everything they do is for the Shriners. So they're raising money for the Shriners hospitals and everything else. But Phil, you look like you got something to say.
Hey, just listen intently. Good information.
Thanks. All right. Well, I have kept y'all on way too long. I didn't realize that I did this long. Is there how can Kit, if somebody needs to get in touch with you or wants to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you? Do you have any social media?
Facebook is generally it for me. It's
U.S. mail. He'll give the address. You can put a stamp on it and mail it to him.
Yeah,
He'll get to the
probably
fan
the
mail
best
when he
thing to
gets a
do.
chance. So
No idea where I'm going to be any given day. So
What's your
we're
next
running
contest?
pretty hard this year.
Where's your next
I'm
contest?
sorry?
Where is your next
Alamosa.
contest? Where?
Alamosa.
What state?
Alamosa, Colorado.
Okay. Thank you, Lee.
Sir,
Oh, Lee.
remember, he didn't know where Corpus Christi was, right? So we got to give him a help on that one.
I'd have to think long and hard about Corpus. That's 7 hours for me.
is that in Texas? Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, they say it is.
You hear about it, just never see it.
Hey, in Texas, it depends on what county you're from. That's how we dissect Texas. So, I mean, we're all Texan, but what county? So,
It's crazy.
Right.
All right, Phil. How can people get in touch with you? No, I'm going to come to you last. Sorry. All right, Lee. Tell everybody a little about you, where you're going to be, how they can get in touch with you.
Facebook, Lee Hickle, Red Mule's Badass Barbecue. Instagram, Facebook, barbecuechampsacademy.com. I've got an online class. I'm cooking Savannah, Georgia, Aiken, South Carolina, then back-to-back Rufus Teague, Myrtle Beach, with a rib and chicken one-meat cook-off in between in Myrtle Beach. So that's where I'll be the next month.
Awesome. Good. So y'all get in touch with them, like their Facebook page. All right, Phil. I want to give you a second to promote your products and what you have and everything, how people can find them at Atlanta Barbecue Store. But anyway, go ahead and tell a little bit about what.
yeah, we're in about 30 of our favorite retailers across the United States and a couple out of country, including Atlanta Barbecue Store. Thank you, Brian. You can find us at www.lcbbqshop.com. On Facebook, Philip Breeden on Facebook. If you want to message me, I answer messages daily, all the time. People reach out to me about my products, and we talk about things. So, or on our LC Barbecue Facebook page, or on Instagram. Man, I think it's me. I'm not even sure. Still learning that. And TikTok, I give that to Bubba. He does the TikTok for us. So
That's awesome. So, Kit, what is your favorite recipe for ribs? Phil wants to know.
Phil's recipe. He won't give it up.
I tried, Lee. I tried.
I know it. We tried.
Man. But
Where did your name come from?
cutting out.
Kid, how did you get Texas Smoke Whisperer?
He's showing you this year, Lee.
I don't know.
I know it.
I
He
wish
came out
I'd
of
picked a
nowhere,
shorter
right?
damn name.
Hey, they won't even say Lee. Red Mule's Badass Barbecue. Half the time they mute him. Red Mule's Beef Barbecue.
Yep, that's true.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
true.
So, how did you come to Texas Smoke Whisperer?
Honestly, I don't even remember. It was just one we picked out of thin air and stuck with it.
Gotcha. And then when did you go from Lucky Charms to LC?
So Alabama, whatever cook-off that was, Brian. I think you in Alabama. That one with the waterfall.
Gadsden.
Yeah, that was my first competition as LC barbecue. So I competed the previous 5 years as Lucky Charms, and Changed it to LC Barbecue at that cook-off a few months ago, 4 months ago, whatever that was.
Gotcha. And where does Red Mules come from?
Just a nickname I've had for quite a few years. A little bit of red hair, stubborn, an ass sometimes. So Red Mule's badass. I don't have good barbecue. I'm just a badass.
I hope you wore the socks for the show, Lee. Did you wear the socks?
I should go put them on, but I won't. I've got my tanglas on. I got my tanglas. That's sandals in Spanish, in case you're wondering.
Thank you for all that. I do appreciate it.
Chocolate.
Oh man. Well, guys, thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful week. Y'all, if you can and you're out at a contest and you see these guys there, go talk to them. Great people. I know none of them will stop you from talking to them. And that's how I got to know Lee really well. And Phil, whenever they were starting. I mean, we've had him on the show, but I'd go over and talk to Lee, right? And he couldn't get rid of me half the time this weekend. But we just had a great time. Go talk to everybody, get to know people in barbecue. It's the best group of people you'll ever meet. And ask questions and be friendly with everybody. So y'all have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Monday on Chewin the BBQ Fat. Hope you'll have a great night.